Hello, good evening and welcome to Rangers Radio. I'm Linda and joining me on the show tonight is Bridgeman and Juicy. Good evening, guys.
Good evening everyone.
Oh, can I just say a massive good evening to yourself, Linda, and Foxy and Terry in the background, and Juicy for joining us as well. And what about last night? Fantastic. And I just say to all the Rangers fans all over the world, particularly Rangers fans on here, Rangers Radio. Good evening and welcome to Rangers Radio.
How are you, Bridge? Are you still on the ceiling, or have you come down from that ceiling after last night?
I think that I think it wasn't the. I'm happy. I'm delighted that we're still in. Anyway, we're still in a tie, and I thought we played very, very well, and we matched that team for big chunks of that game. There were times when they kind of outplayed us a bit, and we were lucky with goalkeeping with some nice saves, and we got some timely tackles in. But I'm really, really happy. We scored 2 goals against a really good team, and they scored 2 goals against us. May I say, we went 1 down, and then we go from 1 up to 1 each, and then up to 2-1, and we literally gave the ball away for the corner and things like that. That nonsense, you know. But no, I'm very happy. I think it's commendable for Rangers to be in there and fighting. Big, massive final game now. Big, massive final game.
And Juicy, I know you did the after-match show last night, and I think it's maybe fair to say there was maybe some mixed views in terms of, you know, the performance and, you know, our chances next week. I know just looking at some of the comments across, you know, the social media platforms today, some people are quite optimistic. Some people think obviously they are firm favourites. But we're still in the tie, Juicy, and maybe that's the most important thing at the end of last night.
You're certainly right, Linda. To be still involved in the tie is the most important thing. Of course, we all would have loved to have taken a lead, a big lead, a 5-0 lead. It would have been superb. But, you know, the reality is the tie is still level. We're still in this. We know that we're capable of playing away from home and putting in good performances. We've seen Gio set up in different ways last season. We've put in sort of defensive hard graft performances when we knew we had the opportunity to take teams back to Ibrox. And we've also gone away from home and gun-ho like we did against Dortmund when we played like we had nothing to lose, really. And that's what I want to see in this next game. I don't want to see us with too much holding and defensive play because you're setting yourselves up to lose. We go for it, have that positivity, leave it on the pitch, the fans will be happy. Just go for it.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about the game last night, you know, I just got some initial thoughts on it, and I thought we did look maybe a wee bit nervous at the beginning, and I don't know whether it was just because they had that early chance, the guy up front. I think it's De Jong, he got in between the defenders and he got his shot away. I think it might have been offside anyway. But then I thought we started to grow into the game, and we had a couple of sort of half chances ourselves with Tillman, and then we had a good shout for a penalty. It went to VAR, and then we were all thinking, was it going to be given? But obviously it wasn't. As Bridge says, we lost a really, you know, poor first goal, but what a terrific equaliser we got, Bridge. That goal was an outstanding team goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, indeed. I think that chance that you mentioned that they had with De Jong, I think it was at least a yard offside, yeah. And the referee allowed it just forget it because he put the ball over the bar and so on and so forth. But in these games, I think they should let the record show. It was offside. There should have been an offside decision made, and that's all there was to it. And then got on with it. That's what I reckon. Don't give the decision for the sake of whatever, you know. And I also think that we were absolutely superb. Some of our play was just magic. That wee man, Stephen Davis, my goodness gracious, he covered every blade of grass 6 times. What a game he had last night. Great stuff. What a wonderful passing. Great to watch. Rangers were good. They were a big team. They're really big players. And, you know, they out-muscled Rangers players a number of times. and a number of times, particularly in a penalty area, there was lots of shouts for a penalty, but the one that was most absolutely 100% penalty for me, it hit him the top of his arm, and didn't hit him anywhere else. It hit him, I think, it hit his hand, and then his arm, and that was it. No, we got it. And consider what happened just 2 weeks ago in Belgium. What do you call him? Golson, shall we say, he got a penalty given against him and a booking, and they get nothing. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. Just the whole thing's just nuts. You know, that's the way it looks.
Yeah. And I think as well, Juicy, it seems to be that the rules around this handball, you think you've got it clear in your mind to a certain degree anyway. You know what's a penalty and what isn't a penalty. But there is a lot of opinion that definitely was a penalty last night, and why weren't we given it?
It's becoming difficult, and we all consider ourselves big fans of football, and we try and keep ourselves abreast of the rules. But it's difficult to fathom. As Bridge said, the incident in USG away in Belgium was a crazy one, where it's deflected off one guy onto another guy's arm, and you think, well, he didn't know anything about that. How can that be a penalty? Is it now just if it hits your arm, it's a penalty regardless of where it comes from? I mean, last night, Bridge, I think without VAR, that could easily have been given as a pen. I mean, I don't. It was just like centimetres from touching the guy's hand, and if it had touched his hand, it would have definitely been ruled a pen. But it is getting difficult, and I don't like it that we seem to always be involved in these kind of things. But you've got to remember, in the SPFL, VAR's coming, unfortunately, not sooner than we would like, but around the time of either just before or just after the World Cup. The way that we play, it's going to create a lot of VAR decisions, isn't it, guys? Because it's going to suit the attacking teams. So they'll be reviewing a lot of the incidents, a lot of offsides when we've scored, and is it on or is it off, and contentious handballs and things like that. I think generally it will work in our favour. But in Europe, you're having more 50-50 matches, aren't you, with teams that are coming at you more. And that's where sometimes it's going to go against us as well. And a couple of times last season it went against us, and obviously in USG it went against us even after they VAR'd it. So
100% agree with you there. But like there was another incident last night with Tom Lawrence. The guy just took him straight again. I mean, he went to kick the ball and he missed it ball completely because Lawrence had pushed the ball past him, and he just took his momentum took Lawrence out. That is a booking in any language in the world and loves football. That was a booking. The referee played it on, and then Rangers lost the ball. When Rangers lost the ball, whatever it was, if the ball goes out the park, it doesn't matter. He should have went back to that after playing it on. He should have went back and booked him. And I don't understand why that referee didn't book him. It's a booking all the way. Yeah. That's just one incident.
Yeah. I think there was probably one booking for us and maybe 3, if not 4 bookings for them, but there probably could have been more than that, Bridge. You're right. So going back to that first half, we obviously conceded a poor goal in a corner, and we'll probably talk a wee bit more about that as the show goes on. But you wondered how we were going to recover from that, and we actually, we got right back into the game, and we obviously scored that terrific goal. Davis to Tav, I think that was maybe one of the only times Tav managed to get round the back of their defence, and it was a great cross. And this boy Cholak, he certainly knows how to put the ball in the net, doesn't he, Bridge?
Oh, he's a good target for people, and that move that he scored, that was a fantastic move. 5 passes or something like that. Ended up with I can't remember. Ended up with Lawrence out to Tav to Davis or something like that. Davis to Tav, sorry, and Tav crossed it in. A beautiful pass, cut back for him. Cholak just put it into the corner as nice as you like. Beautiful goal, great passes. Probably the best move of the whole night. Counting all theirs, they had some nice moves, but I think that was a better move altogether.
Yeah, and after that, I think we get a wee bit of energy from that, Bridge, and there was only maybe, I think that was the 40th minute, and I think for the next 5 minutes or so, we were trying hard to get that second goal, and I think there was a great chance for Tav at the back post. He tried the header, but Lawrence might have even been in a better position than him, but Tav didn't obviously know that, and I thought we finished the half really, really strongly. And I think probably at half time, whilst we would have liked to have been in the lead, the fact that we went a goal down to such a poor goal to get the equaliser, we're probably quite happy with it. In the second half, I thought we, they looked a bit more dangerous, maybe the first sort of 15 minutes. But again, Juicy, I thought we started to get more into the game again. There was a couple of good runs from Tillman. And I think Kolak had a good effort as well that the goalie saved. But we end up taking the lead, quite a fortuitous free kick. Juicy, I think it's safe to say.
It was a little bit fortuitous, but guys, sometimes you need some luck. We've seen luck go against us, as I was referring to earlier with Bridge when we were talking about VAR decisions going against us and poor penalty decisions and things. So, it was a good opportunity for us to have a little bit of luck, but also, a rainy evening. It was just sort of a height where it wasn't great for the keeper, and it just flipped around the place and is in the back of the net. And we've seen this before, and it was in our favour this time, and it's fantastic. It was fantastic that he just took an opportunity from there, because one thing we've been saying about Lawrence ever since he signed was that he's a player who likes to take shots from outside the box, and that's what we need. And although we didn't think that he was going to score from there, you've got to take that opportunity, and it was fantastic. And just one other thing that you were saying there, Linda, I think half-time came a little bit sort of too early for us, really, because our momentum was really good then. And the second half, you're right, we did have our moments, but it became more of a physical battle, and the ref was blowing the whistle a lot more. There was just sort of some challenges, niggly challenges here and there from both teams, and it wasn't quite where we wanted it to be from the first half, where we came into it and we created those opportunities. And I think in the second leg, guys, we need to try and keep that fluidity going, because remember, they're not ahead. Eindhoven aren't ahead in this match, so they need to play as well. They can't stifle the play. They'll need to play against us as well, and that will give us opportunities, Linda.
Yeah, I agree, absolutely. And Bridge, once we went ahead, I thought, when I was watching it with the family, we were thinking, are we going to push on and maybe even get a third goal? But I think we would have been happy with the 2-1 victory if it had stayed like that. But just unbelievably, again, Bridge, we lose another poor goal, and again, it's from a set piece, a corner.
Yeah. Just go back to the free kick. I thought the guy, Lawrence, that was a fantastic free kick, because when you're playing football at that level, I've never played that level, but I've played at high levels insofar as sort of junior levels and that's concerned. You're playing on pitches when they're wet, you like it. You tell your people, if you can, hit the deck, sit on the 6-yard line if it's against the keeper, and let it, because he's going to struggle with it. The ball comes off the ground at such a pace. That looked as if that ball was going slow, but when it hit the ground and it went in supposed to get in his arms, it was travelling about 100 miles an hour. It just hit off him and squared the way into the net. So unless he actually falls on top of the ball, they don't have much chance. The goalkeepers are so obviously prone to mistakes, and it happens like that. But as far as their goal was concerned, a terrible, terrible goal for us to lose at a terrible time. We're 2-1 up, and our fans are singing and dancing, looking really good that we're going to take a lead over to Holland. And there we go, and we make a complete and utter mess of it all. They took a corner, the guy headed it into the net. He beat the keeper. The keeper had no chance with it. And he beat the centre halves, both of them. He was the first to get up that high and head the ball. And that's shameful for Rangers. And I'm not being funny when I say that. Just shameful that we cannot defend. So 2 corners, 2 goals. That's the way it looked last night. That's what it looked like last night for me.
Yeah, very disappointing. I think if you get beat with a 30-yard screamer or a very, very good team goal, Juicy, I think you can maybe accept that a wee bit better. But obviously we've heard some of the aftermatch comments, and I think all the managerial staff and the players are very disappointed that they did lose the 2 goals from set pieces. So definitely we're going to have to improve on that for next week, Juicy.
Yeah, that was the disappointing element, Linda, because during open play, they didn't score past us. They had a couple of opportunities, as you said at the top of the show, and but aside from that, we did well against them in the open play. But those 2 set pieces from the few corners they had really hurt us. And I said last night on the show that through pre-season we conceded a couple of goals like that as well. So the evidence has already been there that we've been struggling a little bit from set plays. West Ham scored against us under a similar circumstance. And you think this is something, I don't care whether it's man-for-man marking or zonal marking, just do what works for the team. One isn't working, then try something else. And I don't want people to get too panicky about it. Sometimes you concede goals from set plays, but we've conceded 2 in one very important match here, and we're going to have to get that ironed out for next week, because if we do, really can increase our chances.
Yeah, absolutely, totally agree. And after that goal, I think it kind of it didn't knock the stuffing out of us as such, but I think at that point we were all sort of, when we were watching it, we were wondering if we were going to manage to get a 3rd goal. It didn't really look like it, and in fact they actually had a great chance to take the lead, and John McLaughlin came out and made a terrific save. The guy played their midfielder, I don't know who it was, but he played a superb ball down the sort of channel. The boy ran in and it looked a certain goal, but John McLaughlin came out and made a great save, Bridge. And I know we're some of the jury's still out in McLaughlin, probably just because we've maybe not seen enough of him yet, but he certainly made a great save there, Bridge.
He made a couple of nice saves, but that one was a crucial save, absolutely crucial, because he came out and met the guy, and he did the business with it. So we're very, very happy with that. But it was a fabulous pass, and that's one of many passes that they made that sliced their defence wide open. Fortunately, the defenders managed to get back and do the blocks, or the opposition put the ball over the bar or something stupid like that, But really and truly, their passing was excellent last night. And some of their passing movements that they must have been working on in the training grounds, because they were just moving the ball at a real pace, And it's fantastic to watch, 5 or 6 players, all of a sudden there's interchanges and lead to more interchanges. And Rangers and players were stuck in the middle of these things. It was like one player plays against 3, and they ring the ball in a bit in triangles. And that 5 of our players, and sometimes we're in among that, and still couldn't get the ball. It's really difficult to fathom how they can't get it, but that's how good that team were. Their passing was excellent, really good, most of the night.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that they're a great team, and it was 2 really good teams going, toe to toe, and probably a draw was perhaps a fair result. So that's some initial thoughts from us, and but just to mix it up a wee bit, we're going to actually hear from a couple of our players, their post-match reactions. So Bridge and Juicy, if you can get yourselves on mute, we're going to hear from John McLaughlin and Borna Barisic.
John, a 2-2 draw tonight. Can you let us know what the mood is like in the dressing room after that?
A little bit negative, I guess, in the end. The boss is trying to lift everyone's spirits a little bit, because at the end of the day we've gone toe-to-toe with a very good team. We're right in this tie. We know we've got a tough task ahead going away to Eindhoven, but we've acquitted ourselves really well in the game. But when you've got that lead, you can feel the place rocking. You're in the ascendancy. You hope that you can see it through, and we're disappointed to obviously, concede 2 set pieces, and ultimately that's what's stopped us having the lead going away. But we're pleased with how we've played in the game on a whole.
As you said, it was a real roller coaster of a match, really, just ups and downs, I suppose, from Rangers' point of view. But the fact that you do go into the second leg now, it's all to play for. Really, it's an exciting time. Obviously, it's a good game to go into next week. Yeah, we've seen where their strengths and weaknesses are, and vice versa. We can see now that we need to give them a lot of respect, but with nothing to fear when we go over there. It's going to be, again, I'm sure, a great atmosphere, a great occasion for the game. But we know what's at stake. We know what we want to achieve, how much it would mean to everybody. So we're going to be focusing on Hibs in the short term. And once that's out of the way, then we'll start to focus again on tonight's game and how we can go out there and get a result. We've really seen what Antonio brings to the team with his goals recently. He got another goal tonight, of course. But you must feel Rangers have the firepower to go out there and really get the result they need next week. Yeah, we've been getting goals. The new signings have been getting goals and assists, which is great. Tom with another one again. So it's great to see that the guys have hit the ground running. Of course, that's what you need. You need talent in every position, competition for places in every position. Guys getting goals and assists, playing well. So yeah, it's great to see, and fingers crossed that they can do the business again. It's great to see them scoring against this level of opponent. So again, I'm sure they'll be full of confidence. On a 2-2 draw tonight, can I get your thoughts on the 90 minutes?
Yeah, draw at the end. I think it was a very good game. Obviously, a little bit disappointed because we draw at the end, but I think that we played good football. They also, to be fair, it's not coincidence that they are here in playoff as we also. So I think that they are a good team, but we show a lot of quality, and that's just half time. We have one more game. So,
do you feel it was a fair result? 2-2 was given the chances both teams created?
I would say yes, probably. When I analyze, then I will know better. But as I said, I think it was a good game. At the end, of course, when you have 2-1, and then from the first set pieces you get goal, receive the goal, and of course that you are not happy. But we are positive. We have a lot of positive things. I think that we play good football, and let's go next week there and win.
The team again showed great determination. They went behind in the first half. Antonio, of course, scored a great goal for him, and he's added a lot to the team.
Yeah, I think they scored a great goal. He started very well here. That's fourth goal for him. Very good strike. I'm very happy and pleased because of him.
Yeah, of course, you now go into the second leg in Eindhoven. Do you go in with a lot of confidence, a lot of positivity?
Yes, of course that we are going with a lot of confidence, a lot of positivity. I think that, as I said, that we play very good football. But this is the level when you will not win 4 or 5-0. That's no chance. It will be tight. Small details will decide who is going to Champions League, and we knew that before. So that's how it was at the end.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show. It's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Thanks for that, Fox. It's good to hear from a couple of the players. I think, both of them kind of said similar things in terms of, still being positive that they can get a result next week, just recognition that it was two good teams. The manager in his comments said similar things as well. Obviously, really going to have to defend a bit better too. But yeah, I think similar thoughts, Bridgie, just across the board there.
Yeah, there are great similarities in what they're saying. Interested to hear what McLaughlin was saying, how it's slightly different, but the positive, particularly for the second leg. What can we say? We're all fans, and we all want it to be good for us. It's a huge game. It was a huge game last night. The ball was zipping around the park, and I don't think we've got all the results, shall we say, the referee decisions our way. So there are a couple of negatives for us. It should have been better. They were wasting a lot of time, men lying in the park and just dropping the drop of a hat, and the game getting stopped. I won't forgive Tavernier for kicking that ball out. I won't forgive him. That guy just dropped. Nobody was near him, and he dropped. He just lay down. Tavernier was a gentleman, as he always is, and he kicked the ball out. By the way, can I just say congratulations to Mr. Tavernier, signed a new contract today. excellent stuff. The extension to his contract, we're happy with that. But I was upset with him last night kicking that ball out. Rangers at that level should never kick the ball out. Never. Let the referee stop the game. Let the referee stop the game.
So we've got the phone lines open and we've actually been joined by our first caller, and it's Davy. I'm not going to say all Davy, I'll just call you Davy. Good evening, David.
Welcome to hear your lovely voice, Linda and Bridge.
Patter Merchant.
I'll take 20 to know one.
Give us your thoughts.
Well, I know there's been a lot of criticism, but that's what happens when you support Rangers. What I would like to put towards you regarding that, the game, apart from we all know where we went wrong, and the thing is that trying to resolve it. We've been trying to resolve that for about a season and a half, and we're not getting anywhere near it at the back. But what I was like to ask you guys is, what did you make of... I'm not criticising them. What did you make of these substitutions? Because I don't think I got them right at all.
I'll take that to Juicy. Juicy, in you come.
Well, I think, Davey, the first thing that I thought was that it was quite late in the day, wasn't it, when we brought those guys on. I think it was around the 70th minute mark. And it's not a lot of time to make an impact, whoever you bring on. That being said, I know a lot of fans were wanting Alfredo on, and we can talk about that later, but clearly he isn't fit enough to be coming on, and we can challenge that, but the manager knows what the manager knows. And also Cholak being as hot as he is at the moment, you're not necessarily going to want to take him off to bring on someone else. So he made changes elsewhere, bringing Wright on. He did bits and pieces, but he wasn't effective, didn't really manage to beat any men to any great degree. We were definitely getting tired in the middle, so bringing on Kamara made some sense, but that was only really like for like, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it's but when you know that it's only the first leg, but ideally you do want to try and win the game. That being said, I know we've got another opportunity next week. It will be away. It won't be easy. So you don't want to throw it away. And I can sometimes see why you might want to hold what you've got, when it did get to 2-2. But, we want to attack. We want to, football's an entertainment business. We want to make it exciting for the fans. But it was interesting subs. I didn't think Wright was that effective. And I know some people were calling for Matondo as well. We've seen Matondo do well, and we've also seen him not so good in some games. So, I don't want to say the jury's out. I think he just needs some more game time with us because, with such a few short matches into the season, guys, I think it's really harsh to criticise any player if you think they've had a poor match. There's so little game time that's been had with some of these guys. But I think as far as Matondo goes, I would have probably put him on at some point, maybe 15 minutes to go, bring him on for another forward player. I like Wright. We saw what he's capable of in the cup final, and he had a couple of standout performances in Europe last season when we didn't think, Linda, at any point he would ever be used. But we knew that we were short on players, and he suddenly found himself getting an opportunity. I think my main thing, Davey, is I'd have perhaps looked to have made some changes a little bit earlier. So maybe whoever you bring on could make a little bit more of an impact.
Davey, what did you think about the substitutions? Would you have done anything differently?
I wouldn't have put Rachel on right for a start because they were totally that was a mismatch the way that game was going. And see if you look at the way the second goal went in, you look who's all standing about there. There's Kamara, Wright, and Golson. Now there's your two subs. Now if you had Ryan Jack in there, I bet he would have been in there competing. Kamara didn't. He came on and done what Wright done. He gave the ball. The two of them gave the ball away. They should have had the wee Malone and Ryan Jack, or even Arfield. I just don't think the ones he brought on were adequate enough for the way the game was panning out. And we Pied the Piper with these two daft silly goals we gave away.
Reg, what's your views on the substitutions?
I think the manager was looking for a bit of pace because the ground was fast, The ball was travelling at great pace on the ground, so you could do, shall we say, good ground passes down the wing of the inside right position for the winger to run onto. I can understand that. I do agree that maybe with different players that you could have brought on, let's put it that way. But I'm no criticism of any of the players that come on or the manager for putting them on. I think Rangers, the game was, to all intents and purposes, going the way it was going. And there is no doubt about it. The corner kick that we gave away was crazy. And all of a sudden, they put a corner in, and it's another goal from another corner. And sadly, that's the state of our game at the moment at the back for the defence. And the manager, and whatever the manager does, and I wish him well doing it, obviously, he's going to have to do something about it. And I don't know if the Ben Davies would have made a difference in that particular situation. Personally, I would say no. What I'm looking for is they had some big fellas in their team, heavy, well built, and I'm looking for the same in our team. Maybe one or two well built guys with, shall we say, a menacing nature. That's what I'm.
Sorry, Brid, we'll just cut across you. We've been joined by, is it Andrew?
Yeah, it's Andrew, aye.
Oh, is it Andy for Crookston? How you doing, Andy?
Yeah.
How you doing? What's your thoughts on last night?
First of all, we're still in it. There's no doubts about we're still in it. A few disappointments, obviously, with the goals we conceded. It's the same thing time and time again. Like long balls or set pieces from the start for the Livingston game and beyond last season as well. The Livingston game, the Barisic doesn't come and win the header, knocked on and 1-0 Livingston. But anyway, talking about last night, this zonal marking is not working. It's not working. I believe in when you're in that dressing room, you've got a man to mark. You mark that man where it's set pieces or corners. My thoughts on the game is playing. I thought we were good in spells, but in other spells we gave the ball away too much. But one main point that I want to ask you what you think of this. With the form Kolak is in, and if he continues this form, when Alfie is fully fit, what would you do? What do you think he'll do?
Well, see, the thing about Cholak, as we all know, he's a different player from Alfie, isn't he? And the thing about Alfie is he's been our main man for the last 3 or 4 years, hasn't he? Even probably longer than that, Andy.
Yeah.
But there was a bit of chat about whether the two of them could play together. We're not obviously sure that Alfie can play with a partner up front, but it is going to be a wee bit of a dilemma for him, So, Juicy, what's your thoughts on that in terms of Cholak and Alfie?
Well, I think, first of all, Cholak, you can't drop the kid at the moment with the way he's playing. So whoever was coming in, be it Alfie or whoever, you'd have to think they're going to have to play with him because the guy is clinical at the moment. And, we might not get a lot of chances away from home, but if we do, you want him on the end of them because you've seen how good he is. I think as far as Alfredo goes, we know how good he is, guys. We know that when he's fully fit, he's a dangerous player. And yes, he is different in terms of what he brings to the table, attribute-wise, to Cholak. I think whether Alfie will be involved next week is probably going to be down to whether or not he gets significant game time this weekend. And remember, we have the match away to Hibernian on Saturday, and if he can get some minutes, either starting or finishing, then that puts him in a position again. Ultimately, maybe this tie has just come a little bit too early for Alfie's fitness. We know how important it is, and we also know how all of us as fans would be upset if a player was rushed back and then didn't perform in such a big tie. And then we'd all be saying, why didn't you bring someone else on? Why didn't you bring Matondo on? Why didn't you bring Fashion on? So you can never win in management, I guess. But I don't really want Alfie to play until he's ready. If he's ready to go this weekend against Hibs and he's ready to feature next week in any capacity, fantastic, because we might need him in the latter stages. Could easily go to extra time next week, guys, and we'd get a sixth substitute if that was the case. There could be an opportunity for him. I think you've just got to see how that match goes. He's not going to start, Linda, is he? He's not going to start him.
No. Dave, I would agree with you, Juicy. Davey, a wee bit of chat that last night was maybe Cholak's best kind of all-round performance for Rangers so far. Any thoughts on that?
Aye, well, I mean, the guys, at first everybody was off saying, oh, he's rubbish, he's this, he's that. I mean, the guys proved his point. The thing that's worrying me, hopefully it'll not happen, if he gets knuckled against Hibs, who are we going to play then? Because Alfie's he's not up to scratch yet. And Roofs, from what you hear, we don't know. And we pay $4 million for a guy who's not even kicked a ball yet. So these are mere concerns for me, but time will tell.
Bridge, I suppose it's just trying to have a plan in how you get these guys up to match fitness, because as Davey says, we have got quite a few that probably need game time. When you think about Alfie, you've got Davies, you've also got the young boy, Redvan, the new left back that we bought. So I suppose it's a bit of a balance in that, Bridge, because you still need to make sure you go out and win the games that are coming up.
Yeah, I think as far as I have and read, Rangers had a sort of closed door match up at the training centre today. I don't know who they were playing, but I believe that Morelos was definitely playing. And I'm really sure I think Davies was actually playing as well. I don't know. However,
I think you're right, Bridge. Yeah, I did read that somewhere.
What Juicy was saying about Hibernian, they'll give us Hibs aren't playing that well overall, as far as we're led to believe. But there's no doubt that I think the manager and the player, I think Morelos would like to start against them, because he's a head-to-head with that young lad, whatever his name is, I can't even remember it now, the centre-half, Porteous. So that could be a pretty battle, but the wisdom of Juicy tells you what it's all about. He needs to be confirmed as fit before you put him into a Hibs game, because they just kick anything above the grass gets booted. Yeah, simple as that. So we have to be very careful with him. But if we get that wee game today, and if he gets a full 90 out of that, then it's a different game. Between now and the end of Saturday, the good chances at training to see how good he is and how well on he is, and same with Davies if he was playing, because I think last night showed you desperately need as someone with a left foot at middle of centre half, with a centre half. You've got to be no taking anything away from what Sands did, but you could see patches during that he just never gave the ball to Barisic. He just didn't do it because he wasn't in the right position body-wise to kick a decent pass with his left foot. It just wasn't there for him. So I think we've got a weakness there, and I'm not saying that showed up, but it showed up to viewers, to people like us, sitting there going, why is he not getting that again on the ball? Well, we know why. I think we know why anyway. So I think we'll get that to take care of, but he also has the enigma that is Alfredo Morelos. And how are you going to prove to the fans that Morelos at the present moment is better than the boy up front and now has scored 4 goals in 4 games? It's going to take some persuading.
Yeah, I agreed, Bridge. We've been joined by Blue Star. How you doing, Blue Star?
So, Linda. Hi, Linda. Hi, Juicy, and hi, Bridgeman. About much like the previous two callers, Linda, I find it so annoying and perplexing that that's for the last couple of years now. We've spent a good bit of money on defenders. They come to the club and they're automatically either not up to match fitness or they're cropped. What I don't understand is, Bridge will tell you, anybody that's played football, Linda, if you're a defender, especially a centre-half, see when that ball comes over, you attack it. Doesn't matter what. There's three men running about you. You get to that ball first. I was listening to a blog when Derek Johnson was on it, and he was literally tearing his hair out, the hair that he's got left, and he says, I can't work this out. He says, I've even spoke to the coaches, he says, at Murray Park. He says, and I keep telling them, he says, the zonal mapping doesn't work. He says, Rangers don't have dominant centre-halves, and he's including Goldson in that. He says, but when you have got Goldson or whoever else is playing next to him, they must attack the ball. Now, for me, guys, especially to Bridgeman, because he knows that position well, when Goldson's standing rooted and you don't even see him lifting up, he doesn't even get his body an inch off the park, I'm sorry. That's just unforgivable at that level. And where we're getting away with it, Linda, and I'm sure he's all know it and he's all agree. I heard Juicy last night saying the same thing. Where we're getting away with it is because of the teams we're playing against in Scotland. 99.9% of the time we're expected to win, and we do win. When you're going up against teams with a better calibre of player, it stands to reason. And Bridge was right. That for me, that team looked like giants compared to us. We looked very, very weak against them. We had passages of play where we did play okay, i.e. our goal was the best goal of the match. Our second one. Big Kolach's one. But for at the back, as soon as you've got cross balls coming in, you heard it even in the ground, you heard all the gasps as soon as high balls were coming in. It's as if we're fans, we all know what's going to happen. Our players aren't good enough at the back. Now, if he's persisted in playing this zonal marking, I don't know where that's came from because we never done it last season. It simply hasn't worked and it's not going to work. Because we don't, if we play that way every time in our league campaign, Linda, 9 times out of 10 we don't have to play that way. Therefore, to try and get away with that in Europe against guys that are dwarfing the centre halves that we've got, who aren't good headers of the ball, what does he do? He's got to address it, and he's got to address it very, very quickly. Because with all intents and purposes, even if we go out next week and we played a match like we did against Borussia Dortmund away, yes, we played brilliant, etc., etc. But it'd take a foolish man to say they're not going to have big periods in the game at home where they're going to fire in high balls. And believe you me, can any one of us hold our hands up and say that the same thing will only happen? Because at the moment, it's all you see, Linda. Yeah. We're rooted to the spot at high balls.
Yeah. Bridge, I'll just bring you back in. Our manager's been asked a couple of times at the press conferences this season already about the zonal marking, and he's not for changing it. He's definitely going to stick by it. Can you see him actually changing his system?
You know, many moons ago, I was playing some really good football team over in PE City, and they used a zonal marking thing. So when you were defending headers, defending corners or free kicks from the wide, then the tallest guy, the tallest player, i.e. the centre half, normally he was the back. So he was at the back, and then it gradually got down. It's like putting one of these photos you see, people of different sizes, heights rather, and that's what it was like. And it wasn't a true zonal marking, because zonal marking is the part of the pitch you're looking at. But that's what they did. They made sure the big fella was at the back, and the reason for that was everybody got his way when he was running. And if people were watching that and they thought, it's going to come in behind me, I'm not going because he's going to get it, and so on and so forth. And that seemed to work for a wee while. The zonal marking is sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. Personally speaking, I like the man marking. You know, you pick your man and you stick with him, and that's your man. And if he scores or he causes problems, then it's your problem, and so on and so forth. And you'll get the blame no matter what if that's your man. So that's the way I like it. I'm not too keen on the zonal marking. I did quite enjoy saying, well, you're the biggest, get in there and get it type thing, you know. No, I don't like zonal marking. Sometimes when you're watching it, watching Rangers playing against a team of, to all intents and purposes, giants, because that's what they were like. They were bigger than most of our players, and they were in the middle of that box at corner kicks and free kicks, and we didn't look as if we were going to get any of the balls, and we actually didn't get very many, particularly one with the goal. That goal at the end there, the second goal, was a fantastic goal. Just brilliant. Great corner kick, great header, goal. And we'd got 4 or 5 Rangers players around about them, didn't know where they are. And that's what it looks like. But zonal marking, I don't like it.
Yeah. Andy for Crookston, would you say there was a wee bit of misfortune on our part for their first goal? The corner came in. I know Golson's tried to. I think Tillman missed the header, and then it kind of came off Golson. I don't know if he expected Tillman to get it. It then ricochets to one of them, and they've kind of got a kind of free shot. Something that doesn't seem to happen to us very often, Andy.
No. I would say it was a tad unfortunate. Yep, it looked like Tillman was going to get it, and it doesn't. So it looked like at first glance, until I'd seen the replay, that it was Goldson that was at fault. But until you seen it, it looked like, as you said, that Tillman was going to get it. And for the first one anyway, yeah, you can probably say it was. It's still for me. You should still be clearing your lines, and I know you'll not stop every corner. Goal teams will score for corners, as simple as that. But the goals that we have lost from set pieces and corners and in recent times is just far too much. And but going back to your question, yeah, I would say it was a tad unfortunate, but we really need to get touch tight to our opponents, and it's agony to see time and time again the same mistakes for corners, and it's as we're going back to what Teresa said there. He doesn't agree with the zonal marking. I said that when I first spoke. It's certainly not working. You said, Linda, Gio's not for changing it, and if you ask me, if we continue in Europe, if we get into the Champions League or whether we, well, I think we can get through. But whether it's the Champions League or the Europa League, then it's, we need to really sort this. We really need to sort it, and that's a big problem.
And Davey, after the game last week against USG, we won 3-0, and we were all quite, happy about that. But I do remember somebody called into the show, and the first comment they made was that they were really quite worried about our defensive corners, because even against USG, there was a couple of times their big, tall players got up, ahead of ours and won some headers in the box. So it's been an alarming thing since the beginning of the season for us, isn't it?
Definitely. Linda, I missed a wee bit of who was the last caller that came on?
That was Andy for Crookston there, but before that it was Blue Star.
Blue Star. Well, I thought Blue Star was spot on, because that's the difference between what he's talking about regarding our league and that level of football. We're miles away. That's why we can't keep up with it. And what I'd like to say, apart from what you were asking us, Linda, who have we got to improve the situation where we can sort that problem at the back? Who can we play that we've not already tried? Or is it a case of waiting to get Hollander back? People have been touting Balogun coming back. At the moment, who can we play that can sort that problem out? That's more worrying for me.
Blue Star, I'll just bring you back in there. I know the question that Davey's asking. If we think about the summer, we don't know what was going on behind the scenes in terms of thinking about Hollander, right? We maybe thought we would have had him back. We don't know, when the extent of his injury was truly found out. We then, obviously, we didn't offer Balogun the new deal because maybe we were going to give King, as a youngster, a bit more of a chance. And then we went out and bought Davies, and we all just thought he would come in and just slot back in, slot right in there. He's left-footed. But he seems to be taking his time to get up to match fitness as well. So in hindsight, it is a wonderful thing, but we've obviously just not sorted out that position at all.
Absolutely, Linda. Bang on. I'm just perplexed. I mean, it's a well-known fact. Balogun wasn't on a tremendous salary or anything. He was a bit of a stopgap. But to be fair to the big guy, any time he came in, the big guy done his job. He scored us a couple of goals after, goodness grief. And then you had Katic as well. I mean, it was Gio that brought Katic back. Now, I've had this argument with Bridgman a million times and the rest of you. We all know that he wasn't the most gifted player on the deck. But do you know the one thing that Katic was best at? He was the best header of the ball at our club.
Even on Rangers Radio.
Of that, there was no doubt. He was the best header of the ball at our club. Now, you're looking at it and you're saying, well, as you've just said, Hollander is nowhere near match fitness. He's already said he's still out for a good couple of months. So what do you do? See the likes of the second goal, and for me, where it was late in the game and we were leading 2-1, was it inconceivable that he could even have brought Kovac back into the centre of defence and tell him, just say, look, stay with the big tall guys that are coming in for this ball. Because if it's needs must and you're hanging on to your leads, I don't see anything wrong with that. It's not as if 9 times out of 10 the ball was going to Kovac, but we had it for a corner anyway. Most of the time it was a bit of a slow build-up. Because even as Davey said there with the substitutions, Linda, and Bridge got it right. For me, if you're playing somebody out in the right, which has also been a problem position for us, surely you've got to play somebody, especially when you've got 2 speed merchants on. Now, Sakala's not been played at all. And you had Matondo, and we know Matondo's just a young boy, as Tillman is. You can just see Tillman's got a bit more physicality about him. But surely if it was the last 15 minutes of that, and you're always hoping that you can maybe sniff a goal, well, your goal's coming from, let's be honest, it's coming from somebody with a bit of speed. The guy, right, much as I don't like knocking him, he's just not up to that. He's not up against that calibre of player. He hasn't got it. So for me, he could have done a lot worse than even playing. See with Sakala, Linda, we all know he's not the best goal scorer, but you know what? When that wee guy's on the park, boy, does he give his all. And the one thing he's got, blistering pace, as has Matondo. So I don't know about Gio. The defensive things I worry, Linda, honestly, as every time there's a high ball coming in, I defy any of us to turn around and say we're not panicking, because we must be.
Yeah. And Juicy, I was just going to ask you about the right substitution, and I don't want it to start being, that Wright is just somebody who's the fall guy all the time, but there's a difficulty for me with Scott Wright at times, and I'm just not sure he's got that quality that we're looking for, Juicy. You know how we've always been talking about this progressive thing in terms of building our quality.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure that Scott Wright, I know he tries hard enough, but there was a couple of instances for me last night that stood out. There was one time the ball was played to him and he was in our half and he played a really loose pass back, and I think it ended up in a corner. Right, that's unacceptable from my point of view. The other one was, see, when we were trying to maybe nick a third goal, his decision making in the final third has got to be better. He could have crossed the ball at one point for Cholak or take a shot, and he did neither, and the attack just broke down. So the question for us, I think, is does Scott Wright have the quality that we need to take us up to this next level? Juicy.
It may be the case, Linda, that this type of match and maybe this type of opponent is perhaps a level too far for the kid, maybe. We play a lot of teams in the SPFL where a player like Wright can make a difference, and we need those players. It's finding the right equation, isn't it, and solution for these type of matches. And we know that Matondo and Sakala, both of them, although Gio doesn't seem to fancy Sakala at this exact moment, but he didn't fancy Wright for a long time last season, and Wright came into the picture, mainly due to injuries, but players get their runs eventually. But with regards to Sakala and Matondo, we know that they're both very fast, they're very pacey, but we also know that Sakala, when he's been given the chance as a number 9, he's not always been there in terms of the goals. In fact, we actually think he might be best as a left winger, but it's hard to displace Kent. Matondo, I still want to see a bit more of him, but a lot of people last night, in the forums, in the comments sections, were clambering for Matondo to come on, and I do think Matondo actually, as a second half sub for Rangers, is actually a very capable player. He's pacey. I still don't think he's the full product yet, guys. So I don't want to put the kid under so much pressure and suddenly say, "Oh, Matondo coming on, he's going to tear it up and it's going to be in the bag." We're playing against big boy teams, and it's not going to be easy. And he's not had that many opportunities yet. But again, guys, still really early in the season, and I know we want them all to run and flourish now. Same for young Yilmaz. He's only just joined us at the back. I think there is a place for Wright, and if you look over the last 4 seasons since Stevie was first in charge, we have seen, haven't we, that slow upgrade of the team with some of the players that came up from the Championship, and slowly that's just been upgraded. And I think Wright, he's a squad player who's it still needs to be talented. Being a squad player shouldn't make you a lesser player, but it might mean you don't always get as many opportunities as some other players. But a couple of injuries and suddenly these guys are needed. And Fashion, look, we still don't know what's going to happen with Fashion. We might still have 1 or 2 players leave us. The transfer window is still very much on, Linda, isn't it? But I do feel there is a place for Wright in the team. Yeah. Maybe that is only at a domestic level, though. We saw what he did to Hearts in that cup final. There is some quality there, but maybe it's just got to be in the right fixture.
Yeah. And I think, Andy, the point about bringing Wright on instead of Matondo, I think it surprised people because Matondo did all right on Saturday against St Johnstone, got a couple of assists, and I know that's a different level altogether, I understand that, but we brought him in and we thought that we were getting an upgrade on perhaps Scott Wright, so maybe that's why it surprised people that Matondo didn't get the chance last night. Yeah,
that's possibly a good point. I actually thought the best option last night out of the 2 of them was Matondo. When you've got 75, it's bucketing of rain, the pitch is starting to get a little bit heavy, defenders are getting tired. What you want is pace, and we know all right, Scott Wright is quick, but Matondo's got that bit of more speed. I would have preferred Matondo on rather than Wright, to be honest. He did what you said earlier, just at the start. He did misplace a pass and went out for a corner kick. And I'm not slating the boy by any means, because he is a squad player, as Juicy just said, and he does flashes a great play in the Premiership, but this is a different league. This is a different level of players we're playing against in PSV. So if you were to ask me, all right, he's not the finished article as you said, Matondo, but to get him up to that level, then you've got to throw him in there, because he's got a couple of assists at the weekend. His confidence is high, and for me, I would definitely brought Matondo on yesterday.
Yeah, that's good points, Andy. So we're going to have a tune just in a couple of seconds, but maybe after the tune, we'll have a wee bit of a focus on what we think was good last night, because I'm sure there were some good things, and maybe we'll have a wee chat about how we think the tie's going to go next week. So get yourselves on mute. We're going to have a tune.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Thank you for that, Jerry. So, Blue Star, we've had some chat on some concerns we've got, and I think they're all genuine concerns and it's understandable, but who stood out for you last night?
Linda, one of the things, I'm a bit of a connoisseur. I like watching my games afterwards, even with the games that I've been to. And one of the things I've picked up in Gio is, you take the likes of 3 games ago when he played with Davis. For me in Ox, Jerry was the best man in the pack. He's ball retention. One of the things Davis does is he very rarely ever gives the ball away. He gives the ball straight back to his own opposing players. And for me, the periods of play, especially in the first half, where him and Lindstrom were kind of trying to dictate a bit, Davis was spraying the ball about well, and it wasn't always going backwards. He was putting them out to the wings. He gave the ball to Kent, I don't know how many times. So I thought Davis was well on top when he was on his game, as was Lindstrom. To be fair, I think the one thing I like about Lawrence, Linda, he's got that wee bit of tenacity and guile, hasn't he? You could see straight away. He wasn't frightened in any way, shape or form because he was up against big guys. And let's be honest, Bridge was right. 2 of the tackles on him were horrific and the guy wasn't even booked. 2 of them, it wasn't just one. So he gets backs up, he clears himself down and he goes at them again. Ken, Linda, he's a bit annoying at times, and I get the point. There's 3 and 4 guys. In fact, at one point in the first half, there was 5 men running the guy. So he couldn't cut inside. But what he did was he got clattered. He managed to hang on to the ball and he still got it back to one of our eighth players. I think it was Lawrence, actually. So I feel sorry for Kent at times. And when he's in that situation, that's when I'm looking for Lawrence to burst by him, for him to slip the ball through him, because we all know Lawrence has got the ability. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And he's got the physique. He's not like one of the wee... To me, Tillman's got the ability as well, Linda. The one thing he was bad for last night, especially the 2 moves in the second half, the burst forward, when we got the break of the ball. Big Kolak pointed one to the left and one to the right, and all he could do was slip him through. Sorry, one was in the first half, one was in the second half. And both times the wee guy decided to take the shot on his cell, and me and you would have saved it, Linda, because he never hit the ball cleanly. Yeah. Whereas Big Kolak had pointed to him. He had made the move. He was onside, just slipped the ball through him. So his decision-making was suspect. In fact, I think Gio picked up on it when after in his presser. But there was past periods of play. Well, where periods of play was really, really good. As I said, look at that goal for Kolak. That movement for that goal, Linda, was absolutely... It was the best move of the whole match for either team. So when we did have those wee periods on top, we did play well. Unfortunately, you're playing against a team that we can't kid ourselves on. They're better than what we're playing against every week. So it stands to reason they're going to have passages of play where you're going to be under a bit of pressure. But when we were on the ball, I thought 4, 5, 6 of our players were all on their game. I really did.
Yeah. Davey, who stood out for you? I know Blue Star made a really good point there about Tillman. I think we've all been kind of a raving about him, but sometimes he does just need to get his head up and maybe play a pass.
Yeah, I agree with that totally. I agree with what Blue Star's saying as well, but I feel we're not up to pace to play against. Maybe I don't know, they've not played many games either, but their level of fitness looked way in front of us. I mean, when they pressed, we couldn't get out. I mean, we say everybody's criticising us for our poor second half. We couldn't get out. And that was because the way they played. They were right on us. Even Barisic was getting it ball because none of the go at it were on top of him. And they weren't picking it up. And I think that's down to match fitness, I think that's but to pick out a certain player, I couldn't see it. It was a decent, a good performance, and what you said is the good thing is we're still in the tie.
Andy for Crookston, who was your man in the match and from a Rangers perspective?
For me, absolutely Stephen Davis. I thought his distribution, his passing, his awareness, his vision to go forward rather than turning back and going back away, like we know a few other players are like. Yet for me, Stephen Davis, I thought had a great game. His weighted pass through to Tavernier for the goal was absolutely inch perfect. Also as well, Tillman. I thought Tillman was good, but he needs to lift his head, as you said, Linda. The one in the first half where he'd acres of space and he's running through. Kolak, as Blue Star said, Kolak's got his hand up, but also if you look on the left hand side, Kent standing there. He's got about 10 yards of space. He's got about 10 yards of space. All he has to do is either slip it through to Kolak or play the easier pass and just slip it through to Kent. Kent's got 10 yards of space where he's inside the box and he can unleash a shot which could have easily led to a goal. But yeah, the thing is, we are a good team. We are a good team. We know we're a good team. We didn't get to a Europa League final for no reason. I know we've not all got all the players that we had then in that group. But last night was a test. They are a very, very, very good team. But the players that shown for me, as you say, as your question, I thought Davis, Tillman had good flashes. I thought possibly, not possibly. I thought Big
Kolak.
Yeah, Big Kolak was great, and also well, oh God, my mind's went blank.
I think that's probably all right. You've given
the song we've got. Andy. Lundstrom. I thought Lundstrom had a good game, yeah.
Cool.
But as I say, Linda, we're up against a good team. I fully believe we're still not out it, but just we've got a few things we need to fix.
Yeah, I think we'd all agree on that. Bridge, probably Davis, I think you've already mentioned his involvement in that goal just kind of typifies, is it? His ability to play that ball forward is sometimes what makes him, kind of stand out.
Yeah, the pitch demanded better players, and we don't have the real good quality players that can play on a pitch like that because the ball's very fast when it comes across. And that does take a bit of time sometimes to be able to control. But I thought Davis showed how great an international player he is. His distribution of the ball was first class last night, first class. I think there was only maybe one ball he didn't quite complete the pass, and it was great. And I think he was ably assisted, may I say, by Tavernier on the right and Lundstrom just behind him to all intents and purposes. I thought those three played a tremendous game last night. The other guys, Cholak, soldiered on. Incredible. I mean, and he deserved his goal. And that was the best move of the night, the goal. I think I said that earlier. And Tavernier was involved in that. So Tavernier, as of the defenders, I thought Tavernier was outstanding compared to the rest of them. But, he wasn't great at defence. So sorry to say. But going forward again, Tav showed his mettle. Great captain. Did everything he needed up front. But at times the boys were right when I've said this myself. You watch them and they get caught in the trap. They get, I was going to say surrounded, but they get 5 players round about 4 or 3 even, and they just can't get out of the place. No matter what they do, even when they get the ball, they can't get out. They get pressed out, and then these guys just take the ball off them. And some of the crossfield passes that they did in this late on the second half, phenomenal. 30, 40, 50, 60-yard passes over to the wee blonde guy on the left. Wow, just amazing stuff. Great to see you. We tried that, and some of the times it didn't happen. A lot of times it didn't happen. But if we could do that kind of thing, we saw a couple of times last night where it did work out and looked great and so on and so forth. But we need to do it enough because we're stuck inside our 6-yard box a lot of the time in the second half because of the press.
Yeah, I think you're right, Bridge, and we're definitely up against a top quality side. It's just unfortunate one of us is not going to make this Champions League group stages, because you're at this level of competition, aren't you? So we've moved into the second part of the show, and it would be nice to get some more folk to come and join us. Tell us who your man of the match was, and do you think we've still got a good chance? Let's hear from you.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
So there's
Linda, can I just jump in? I'll just say thanks for covering us on, folks, and it was good to hear you comparing it, Linda. I'll let you get other callers on. Thanks again.
No problem, Good to hear from you.
Yeah, Linda, I'll let you go as well. Thanks very, very much for having me on. It's appreciated.
No bother, Andy.
No worries. Take care, guys.
Take
care, big man, and everybody else. Tuesday.
Thanks for the call.
I was ready to go on all there, Linda, but I don't think there's anybody left.
You can stay on, Davey, as long as you don't eat any Maltesers.
That's very generous. You must know I've scrapped them all by now.
Good night, guys.
Good night, Andy.
Good night.
Pleasure.
Davey, I was going to ask you if you like the white chocolate Maltesers that are out now, but I better not. It might be a wee bit of sacrilege there.
No, I'm not say any kind of Maltesers. No, what colour they.
I was going to just say there about the boy James Sands. He seems to be quite a talking point in terms of just where he fits in at Rangers and how he's doing. So I'll get your opinion on that. Juicy, you first. How did Sands play for you last night?
I thought he was competent. Obviously, under a little bit of pressure, being on a yellow card, you didn't want to see him do anything rash and get suspended for the second leg. I don't think, and this isn't a fault of his own, really, but I don't think he and Borna link that well together. I think Borna would play better with a left-sided centre-back, which we would get from Ben Davies when he does play. And I think that would be good, because I want to see Borna more effective, because we know that when Borna's on it, there is a good player in there. But I think Sands, I know he plays in that position for the United States national team. And again, I don't want to underrate a player just because he can be played in multiple positions. The guy can do a job for us in multiple positions, and that's not a bad thing at all, because I think he's a good player, and we're going to have a decision to make. I believe it's an 18-month loan contract that he was on. So at some point, we're going to have a decision to make whether or not we want to take an option to sign him. But I've been quite pleased with him so far, guys. And Gio certainly likes him, because he's had plenty of game time, hasn't he? Both in the main season and in the pre-season. But he really didn't do too much wrong last night. And that was pleasing to see, because we know that Ben Davies isn't too far off now after getting some more game time, and he'll probably feature this weekend as well. So Sands is going to be getting pressurised. Of course, Suter's still to come back as well. We mentioned Hollander. King got a little bit of game time at the weekend, and we're hopeful, of course, that King can get some more minutes this season, because he does look good. So just to put a bit more positivity on the defence, Linda, we've still got options there. It's not like everyone is out of action. We've still got options. I'd have no qualms of King playing, at the weekend if he needed to start. And of course, Yilmaz to come in as well. But I've been happy with Sands so far, guys.
Yeah. Davey, I don't think any of us had James Sands down as a starter. We all kind of see him as a bit of a utility player, and that's not to show him any disrespect. But is it just because of the clientele that's been available to Gio that we've seen Sands feature so much so far?
Yeah, you're spot on. You just took the words out of my mouth there, actually. That's exactly what's happening. He's there because they're not got very much a choice to take for anything else, and they just, him and the biggie and Coulson just don't seem to gel at times. But who else have you got to bring in? That's the manager's predicament. He's got that problem. So, and the big problem is, who else have you got?
Yeah.
You can't blame the guy for being playing. He can criticise everybody in that team. Everybody in them's got a point that they can be criticised about. But you can't play a guy out of position and expect him to turn in 5-star performances every game. I don't think that can work. Some players can do it, and I just don't think that boy's got that to do. Then he's not a bad player.
Yeah, Bridge, it's probably a bit unfair, isn't it? He's playing out of position because he's not left-footed. He's not the tallest either, although that we all think that we need over 6 foot central defenders. I know you do, Bridge. You would like that, but Sands, for you, has he done okay so far?
Given the limitations in his play, he plays on the left side of a central defensive system for his international team. He's a tough laddie, and he gets tough. He very rarely loses in a tackle, and when he wins the ball, providing he's facing either straight up the park or across to the right, and not that he kicks it where he's facing, but he's got a better chance because he can get his body into the correct position. Unfortunately, when he's on the left, as we saw with Big Katic, which was a sin, sometimes it made him look really ridiculous because he just couldn't get his body into the right position to make a pass. So it was either a big punt out the park or a dreadful pass up the park, things like that, the Big Katic. So that boy's not going that far, because what he's doing, I've noticed it the last few times, what he's doing is he's not making the pass at all out to Barisic. And Barisic is left there, in a bit of space. Sands just switches over and continues up the old left half position, and that's what he does. And eventually maybe turns around and gives it over to Coulson. But the truth is, most of the defenders will give the ball to Goldson because he is the most reliable for distribution, long developing passes, or even finding Lundstrom. He's very, very good with finding Lundstrom. They know where they are. So Sands, I'm afraid, will probably still play there until either Ben Davis or Ray, another who we know we can trust in the left centre half position, and even the boy King, whomever, But I don't think he's the level of football that we're playing doesn't warrant someone who lacks anything in his game. Let's put it that way. That's the nicest way I can put it. And I think Sands lacks something in his game insofar as what Rangers are trying to do.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there, Ridge. Nobody can fault his effort, and again, it just comes back to having that quality in these really, really important positions, isn't it? So, Juicy, we're going to try and take one game at a time. I know we always say that, and I understand that. But if we've got one eye on the match, I think it's Wednesday next week, isn't it? The return leg against PSV. How are you thinking we should set up on Saturday with if we've got one eye on that game? And what I mean by that is, do we need to make changes for Saturday with a view to some of these people featuring on Wednesday?
Yeah. Yes, we do, because if we make changes, it certainly doesn't mean it's a B team or a lesser team. But I think we need to just keep it fresh, because we know that Hibs haven't been playing well, but we also know Hibs love it when they play against us, and we'll probably see improved performance from them. Porteous likes to kick lumps out of us. If anyone's having a wee bet, back Porteous to be booked before 90 minutes, because it normally happens against us. And we know it will be a physical game. And I'm not saying that players will get injured or anything, but you've got to just be a little bit mindful of the two matches, two away matches. I, however, am pleased that we've got the fixture. I know that PSV have had theirs moved, but I actually think for us it's better to have the match, because we looked at last season, even in the second half of the season, we were better when we had those matches. And remember when we played Celtic in the Cup semi-final, it was all, they're going to be tired after Braga. We were beasts. We played Braga in extra time, we played Celtic in extra time, and we were still the fittest. And I know we're not quite there yet with the fitness, obviously it's still early, but we've got a squad of players that are decent. And if he does need to change it, if he does want to say start Arfield instead of Lawrence or Tillman, I'm fine with that. In fact, I wouldn't mind seeing Arfield start next week, because I think we all know that Arfield's quite capable with his runs and making things happen. Arfield could well play a part next Wednesday, and I think some people would have wanted to see him come on as a substitute yesterday. So make some changes where he feels fit. I don't think it would be a lesser team. I wouldn't mind if Matondo started or Fashion started on that left side instead of Ken. You do have to keep it fresh, and he still wants to keep looking at some of these players as well. Yilmaz could start in the left back. Ben Davis could start in place of Sands. We've got a big squad now, guys, and it's a squad that's been, as I said earlier, it's been upgraded over the last couple of seasons. We haven't seen all the new players yet. I think so far we've got to be quite happy about the new players that we have seen to a bigger degree, because I think Lawrence, Tillman, Cholak, they've all very much hit the ground running, haven't they? We haven't quite seen so much of the new defenders yet, but they'll get their chance, guys.
Yeah, absolutely, Juicy. Davey, what about yourself? Would you like to see some changes for the Hibs game at the weekend with one eye on the return leg with PSV?
Oh, definitely. And I'll tell you another thing, we shouldn't be playing this week. That's questionable. We all know where that comes from. Look at them, they've not got a game, but we've got to play. Anyway, yeah, I still think there'll always changes. You've got to freshen it up. I don't think, I agree with you, say we've got a squad there, especially in the Scottish League. We can change a wee bit more and get away with it rather than the European nights. And but we're still going to go out there because this mob are going to do us like they always do. So he'll freshen it up. I think you'll see. I would like to give Alfie. I would try Alfie and Big Kolak. Just it might be a wee bit premature, but I think he's going to give Alfie some time because we need them badly. The way he gets in and around about a team, you know.
Would you play them together, Davy?
Well, it's a thought. Well, what I would see like so in the game there, we're talking about the substitutions. I would have put the big boy Kolak back in. Obviously, a lot of people will say you can't have a centre forward playing as a centre half. Well, they said that about Derek Johnson, and he proved that wrong. And we lost that goal through the 1 point as we couldn't get up. I'd have put Alfie up there, gave him time, and put the big man back in defence for the last 15 minutes. But it didn't happen.
Bridge, what about yourself? Would you consider making some changes at the weekend, as I said, with an eye on the return leg?
Oh, yeah, I think that if it's possible, some of the guys that we just spoke about there, Morelos and co, Ben Davies, then I don't know how fit they are. The manager maybe wants to see, can they last 60 minutes, 90 minutes, you know. They would put them in for the start. I've got a sneaking suspicion that'll happen. But the last one looked at Morelos, it didn't look as if he would be fit, not for another month. I mean, fully fit. He looked a bit as if he was carrying a bit of timber, you know. Yes. But yeah, we're looking for the character of the old Morelos that we know of, and he would be a wonderful player to have in the team. Probably the best player we've got at Ibrox, in my opinion, when he's on form. But I don't know whether they would play the both of them up front beside each other. They might jig it somewhere else that both of them were on the park. I just don't know. But the Colak is under no circumstances should he be dropped. He's playing really, really well. So Alfie's got a battle in his hand, A, in the fitness side of his life, but B, trying to get back into that team. So somewhere along the line, the manager is going to have to either change the team a wee bit, the system, whatever it is, to allow Alfie on the same park as Kolak, or they swap it around. One gets 60, the other gets 30, week in and week out, you know. I think that's probably the way they'll go until he's fully fit. But if Morelos kickstarts, he comes on and starts scoring goals, then I'm afraid that Kolak will just have to eat humble pie, and that's the way it'll be. The other guys, we know, the guys there, we know we're just waiting on getting back to fitness, like Shooter. These guys are great stand-ins and possibly even first-team starts, you know. Ben Davies, wonderful players. We really do need some sort of assistance in the defensive area. We just don't have it because they're all on the bench somewhere or in the medical room. And that's a sin. That's 2 seasons in a row we've ended up with some major discrepancies in our team simply because of injuries, and we've never managed to get over it. But we took, by the way, the manager and the team took us all the way to our European final not even 2 months ago. You know what I mean? Well, it was about 2 months ago, I tell a lie. So we should still be able to live in the fame of that and be fear of no one, scared of no one. And next Tuesday, we should show we're scared of no one.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point, Bridge, because I think both managers said after the game that it was it's still a 50-50 and it's like a final next week, isn't it? You know. Anyway, we've been joined by another caller. I think we've been joined by Alex Kelly. Hello, Alex.
Good evening, Linda. Juicy, Bridge man. And David.
Oh no.
Oh no.
How you doing, Alex? Listen, a wee question for you before you're going to talk about last night's game. But do you think Tav deserved his extension? And is he the best right back we've ever had?
Did Robert Witherall ask you to tell you he asked me that?
No, it was just, I do remember some things, not everything, but I do remember some things.
No, listen, Tavernier, there's no doubt about it. He's definitely improved. If he's been at our club, so he definitely deserves his contract. But whether he's the best right back who's ever played for us, not in my eyes. Nope. I've seen better than that. Well, for me, Gary Stevens is the best right back I've ever seen. Yeah. A different, obviously, player with Tavares. I mean, Gary Stevens won an English title and he won a European Cup Winners' Cup, as well as, I think he had about 60, 70 odd caps with England. So different levels for me. Individual level stats, Tavernier, yeah, definitely. It's all there to be seen, but Gary Stevens won more trophies for us, so that'll do for me.
Aye, that's fair enough, Alex.
Anyway, that's a cheeky question, by the way, Linda.
Give us your thoughts, Alex. What are you thinking about last night?
Well, last night, just something that I wanted to pick you up on. I know you were on about, our Bridgeman was on about 100% penalty. I don't know if you were aware that the actual rule change on that now, it's the T-shirt line that they go with now. Last year, that was 100% a penalty. Now the referees have been told that if it's below the T-shirt line, then it's to be given as a penalty. If it's on or above the T-shirt line, then it's not a penalty. So that's the reason why.
Now I can see why he was saying. He was pointing up next to his shoulder. Yeah, I understand that, right?
That's why. For me, it causes more debate. And the fact that it didn't go to the VAR panel, I think they've went, well, it's inconclusive whether it went above his kind of T-shirt line or not. So they've sided with the referee, but it was just to explain that.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Mr.
That was good of you, Alec. That was really good of you, pal. Linda will be raging, but thanks very much.
Thank you. Do continue.
No bother. No, well, last night for me, the USG game, I've seen signs. We've all seen signs for the start of the season. The defence, there's still deficiencies there. And for me, it's Connor Golson that's causing most of the problems. You put a ball over his head, he's too slow to turn. Lundstrom's constantly looking back, worried about the danger when Tavernier goes up the park. There's big gaps in there. So Lundstrom, I think you're taking Lundstrom, the qualities that he brings to the team going forward. I think you're actually stifling Lundstrom's game because he's that worried about the defence. We can't look to go forward with him. And for me, a towering centre half should be winning everything in the box. See this zonal marking rubbish. See, it does a couple of things for me. When you're in standing positions, you're allowing the forwards to run onto them, so that they're basically going to be winning headers against you. So the other players within the team, the so-called runners, they're meant to be blocking those runs to get onto it. But you also need a keeper to come out and command that area as well. Could that be the reason why he's made McLaughlin his number one and no McGregor? Because McGregor doesn't come off his line, as we all know.
Yeah, you could be right, and we've all been talking about that with Alan McGregor as well. It's been a wee bit of a fault, isn't it? And it's cost us, Alex. But I know what you're saying about the zonal marking, because if it's man for man, you've got that responsibility, haven't you? You pick up your player, and it's up to you to make sure that you jump with that player. But I'm not sure that he's going to change his mind, Alex, at all on that, because I don't know if you heard me earlier. He's definitely been asked about it in a couple of the pressers, and he's given no indication that he's going to change his system at all. So is that a bit of stubbornness for Gio, or is it just somebody that just is typical kind of him sticking to his principles?
Well, it could be a bit of both, but we've got to question the logic behind that decision in the first place. Why are we changing when we were so successful in Europe last season? And this is causing all sorts of problem. When you've got confusion in your defence, it's no wonder you're losing silly goals the way we're doing. And the opportunities, the better level of team that you're going to come up against, they're going to put away these chances, these half chances that'll fall to a St Mirren or St Johnstone or teams like that, and they're nobody's clinical. You're up against £40 million strikers and all that now. and midfielders, they're going to put them away. So I don't think that's a good decision with Gio going forward. There are another example as well. How many bookings has Golson picked up already this year? The big guy hardly had a booking for the last 2 or 3 years. So he's getting caught. I think he's in a state of confusion about what's actually happening. Who makes a decision? You've got to have leaders in the team that take responsibility for the position of the ball. Clear your lines and then worry about what's happening after that. We're not doing that, and we lost 2 silly goals last night because of it.
Aye. Davey, would you just come back in? Just a couple of points Alex made. Davey, do you think Connor Golson just doesn't play his own game when he's maybe worried about the person that's playing beside him? I mean, I don't know. You would have to look back at periods of play where he's not had great games, but I just sort of short term thinking about it, he seems to play better when he's maybe got a Philip Hollander beside him, somebody that is, just as good as him. I don't know, it's maybe just a food for thought, Davey.
Well, I promised myself I wouldn't get involved with Golson because I have not liked that
we're going
guy.
to hear it all now. It's all going to be out now.
I've not liked that guy from day one. He's vastly overrated. I heard a Celtic man who summed him up last year when he wouldn't sign a contract. He says, Connor Golson should look in the mirror and look at himself because you're not as good as you think you are. And that summed him up for me. And every time he blows up, he turns around and blames somebody else. And that really annoys me. I'll give you a quick point about last night's game. The first corner that they scored, Golson gets the ball in a penalty spot. Nobody near him. Bridgeman could have cleared it into the stand. With his Golson day, he slices it and boots it in for a corner. That, to me, is just carelessness. And to me, he's been doing that regular. So, but I can't. The team, we're talking about the team. The only thing I think the problem we've got is how do we change it?
Alex?
Can I come in there just for a second?
Sorry, Bridge, in you come, Bridge.
It's just to say, like, there's no way we should be slaughtering or trying to slaughter a big Golson. Golson's been a fine, shall we say, deputy captain for a vice captain for Tavernier. And he's led for the back. He's took us all the way to the Europa League final last year. He's had a wee bit of a torrid time started this season because there ain't any partner for him. There ain't any partner. We don't have one. And he looked a lot better when he was playing alongside that boy Ben Davis because he knew what was happening. He knew how each other would play. That's the difference. And you were right there. You just said a minute ago, he's a wee bit shaky. He is a wee bit shaky. But sometimes it's rightly so. But the truth is, they need a partner for him. No matter what happens, they need to get him a partner. Sorry, right? Okay.
No, it's fine, Bridge. Thank you. Alex, what do you think about that in terms of him maybe not having a partner and he spends too much time perhaps worrying about what the other guy's doing that's playing beside him?
I agree with that, actually, because we had a period of time where he was basically babysitting Big Katic, and he was kind of worried about what Katic was going to do, and he was worried about 2 men rather than his own men. So I agree with Bridge. I thought he was better on Saturday there because, for me, Ben Davis offered a balance to the team. We haven't been natural left-sided. But by the way, I thought Sands had actually one of his better games last night. So I can't, praise him too much or slaughter him too much. But I just think there's a bit of complacency or something that's crept into his game. We've put him in a position being the mainstay in the team with Tavernier. But Tavernier deserves his position in the team because he's consistent high performances. You've got a threat in that position now, Golson, so you better buck up your ideas. We've got Ben Davis there, we've got Suter there, we've got Sands that could switch across. He's got a competition for his place there, and he's maybe feeling a wee bit under pressure to lose that. And he should be That's the sort of club that we're at. It's about levels. And if you aren't at your levels, then I'm sorry, you have to give somebody else your jersey and let them come in and do it.
Spot on.
Yeah. Juicy, any thoughts on Goldson in terms of, why do you think he's made such a ropey start? In terms of, we're not saying he's playing badly in every minute of every game so far, but there just seems to be a few errors creeping back in.
I think, guys, and first of all, really good points everyone's made on Goldson. I think what's particularly bad for Goldson is some of the mistakes that he's made that's upset a lot of fans have been in the highest of profile matches. And he got some criticism in the Europa League final for the Frankfurt equaliser. He wasn't watching his man. Then, of course, last night, some of that maybe is down to the tactics as well with how we are operating with those corners. But I don't want to solely just punish Goldson for that. But a good point about how he's already been booked a few times this season, because that does infer that he's not comfortable and he's getting players the wrong side of him, and he's making rash challenges to try and make up for it. I think we have to remember that he's done well for us in the time that he's been here, and he's developed massively in the time that we've had him. But recently, in recent time, and I know it's unfortunate because it coincides with a very significant new contract that the guys got from us, his form hasn't really been as good as the sexy contract that he's just got. So I still want him to do well. In fact, I'm desperate for him to do well because he's played so many matches for us. I mean, he's been one of our most consistent players in terms of fitness, hasn't he? And that's why he's been unmovable at times. There were also times when he did have the odd bad match where Gerrard didn't drop him, and we knew that they were quite tight. Shouldn't be scared about dropping any player if they're not performing, and if they're big enough and ugly enough, they'll muscle their way back into the team in due course. And I'm sure Goldson would. And despite the fact we've got a few players out in the defensive position, we haven't got anyone out. And goodness, King, Suto, he'll be back soon. We've still got people there that can challenge him. And if he's not performing, just like any player, I don't want to just single him out. These players need to, be reminded that there is good competition for these positions. And in some positions, like centre-back, there's multiple people who could be playing there. I still want to say I want him to do well. But he's got to be careful because don't forget, guys, last season, do you remember, and I do hate it, but social media, he was making a few comments on there in a couple of interviews. He was mentioning about the fans getting on his back. I mean, I don't know if it's the best way to air your laundry, especially in the goldfish bowl of Scottish football.
I think probably, do you see that there's always mixed feelings about Connor Goldson, although probably the majority were quite happy when he signed the new contract. Maybe a part of that was that we were just wondering who we would be getting in to replace him, but he signed it.
Can I just say something?
Uh-huh.
Regarding him as the vice captain, any vice captain it can come out after getting beat with Hibs and turn around and say, we knew we were beat at half time. That's not a vice captain for me. Never will be either.
Yeah, that's fair point, Davy. So moving into
don't bring that up again.
Davy's a bit ultra critical again, isn't he? What's the matter with you, Davy? What, don't you like him?
No, it's just hurts.
He's run out of malt diesels.
No, I'm never critical anyway, I suppose, because you shouldn't be. But we've all got our saying things. And if we don't get this problem we've got at the moment fixed, we're not going anywhere. And that's the worrying bit. We can get it sorted, but I just don't think at the moment we'll go to the players available to sort it.
Can't disagree with you there. I'm certainly short of players in certain positions, and that's for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's early doors, isn't it? It's still, we're only 6 games in, and as I say, these, especially with these qualifiers, they come round so quickly. So we're moving into the last sort of 10 or 15 minutes of the show. Anybody wants to come in and give us some final thoughts, join us on 0141 356 1972 and we'll bring you into the call. Alex, just going back to your good self, who stood out for you? Who played well for Rangers last night?
I thought Big Kovac was outstanding up front last night. His movement occupied him all night. He's running into channels, he's shutting down. He was basically doing a job with 2 or 3 men. It reminded you very much of Alfie, what he used to do. But people, that was another thing I was going to say. I've seen a lot of comments today. Why did Gio no make subs and bring on Alfie and bring on Arfield and Matondo? Not? Listen, it's half time in the tie. What if he'd have brought all the positive moves on last night and would have lost 3-2 or 4-2? We're basically out the tie. So I thought that the gaffer was sensible, and people might not like the personnel that was coming on, but we held a 2-2 and we go into the second leg still with an opportunity. Yes, it's going to be more difficult because it's away from home, and we're used to playing the second leg at home, but we're still in with a chance of reaching the Champions League. You cast your mind back 5 or 6 years, the journey we've took, the opposition we've took, the levels we've raised. It's amazing the strides we've made in just a few short years. So I think a lot of supporters have got to remember the levels that's out there. The better teams are coming up against us now. So that's why they're pinpointing certain weaknesses within our team.
Yeah, I think absolutely spot on, Alex. And Bridge, we sometimes do have to remind ourselves where we've come from, eh? And as you said at the start of the show, that PSV, they're a good team, and I think we've got to remember that.
Well, they're a real high quality team, and they've spent a lot of money on some players, and in particular that their captain, I think he was the captain anyway, the centre forward, what was his name again? Just something. De Jong. Anyway, yeah. He was a brilliant player. He caused our defence's centre halves major problems most of the night. He was winning all the high balls that were coming, even short. He was winning the ball and flicking it on or holding it up. And they didn't know. A big, strong fella. He must be 6'4", and it's built like a marvellous build, So very, very strong in the air, and obviously a very good player. And they had lots and lots of good players in their team. We matched them. I'm very, very proud of Rangers. We matched them in many parts of that game. There were times when their quality actually shone through, or maybe it was a mixture between their quality and our weaknesses. It made them shine through. But we're no doubting about it. We were a well-deserved draw, in my opinion. No problem at all. I think we were, shall we say, we played really, really well against them. And they might have shaded it slightly on possession at times. But no, for me, I think if we went through on 2-1, I think that would have been a more fair result for Rangers fans, a more fair result. But nobody's really, I don't think anybody going to complain too much about 2 each. But a tremendous result for us, given the fact that they were in top form. And we have to fear them and respect them when we get there and try to make sure that we're on top form. No complain and we worry about players missing the bad passes, this, that, and the next thing, which was some parts it was littered last night, and only for short periods. But no, I think everybody played well. There's some weaknesses we've talked about tonight, and some of them are quite significant, and we have to get that sorted too. So I'm not saying we're going to get it for Tuesday, but wouldn't it be nice to have a full strength team out there the way we know it, out there and try our best then. I don't think that team caused us enormous problems last night. And you remember the first game in Belgium, we got an absolute doing. That could have been 5 or 6-0 for us against us, and we never got an absolute doing last night on the park. No way.
Alex, going back to what you were saying there about Čolak, quite interesting after the first two games, Livy and away to USG. Everybody was taking great pleasure in writing them off in the media and some of our former players. Quite astonishing sometimes how they're quick to do that, eh?
Absolutely. The media's got a different agenda, right enough, but I was very surprised with Mark Catley's comments slating him, because we all knew Mark Catley took a time, to bed into our team, and it's all about standards at our club. People think they can go through the motions. Our support don't accept that. We want to win every game, and if you're not putting in a shift, well, what So Hatley was a slow starter at our club. He should realise that, and give the big guy a bit of support. He's been outstanding the last 2-3 games. It's basically 5 goals in 5 games he's scored, and you can't. That's a better return than the Alfie's gave us most of the years, So he's proven himself to be an excellent acquisition. I'm just hoping that Alfie gets up to speed fitness-wise to either challenge him or else find a way into the team, because I think they two could play together. And if they strike up an understanding, a partnership, I think they could cause all sorts of problems in the Scottish League and possibly Europe ahead.
Excuse me.
Do you see that's a good point Alex makes there, because there was a couple of times last night in the second half the ball went up to Cholak, he got a shot away, the goalie parried one out, but there was nobody waiting to follow up. If you've got a strike partner, somebody who's equally wanting to get into the box and score goals, there's another person there that's maybe got not a tap in as such, but's got another chance. I still think sometimes he's a wee bit isolated and we're not getting enough people up to support him, even to pick up any scraps that's coming off around him.
Yeah, exactly. Do you remember, of course, you wouldn't forget, the 55 season, the final home game against Celtic, which we won 4-1, we started Ruth and Alfredo, and they played really well together. They scored 3 goals between them, and it was a great performance. And I can't think of too many times in the last several years where we've played 2 recognised strikers from the start in a big game. We might have done it perhaps in some cup games against lower quality teams possibly, but in a big match like that, in a derby game, they both started and they were very, very good, if you recall. Of course, Defoe came on and got the last, so all 4 goals were actually scored by our 3 strikers, which was excellent. And I think in time, when Alfredo's fully fit, there could be some formations where he could be very useful. I still want Tillman to be that player as well, that number 10 who can also, as well as making things happen, be there and make those runs in the box to pick up those loose passes. As we know, Arfield is capable of doing that as well. And I want Tillman and, of course, Hadji. But I don't always think Hadji, he's still got to come back, of course, but I don't always think he's been that well suited to the right-sided position. He's really a natural number 10 as well. And you want him to be in there creating chances and also making those runs into the box. Because we do create a lot of chances, particularly domestically. And we need to make sure we've got those players running in to finish them. We've got Lawrence now and Lundstrom who are quite adept at shooting from range. But it's those cheeky little poachers goals that we've been missing. But we saw that Cholak's got that in his locker as well. But, maybe if he has got someone to dovetail Linda, then we'll see even more from him. But I think right now, you've got to be very pleased with how he started.
Yeah, totally agree, Juicy. 4 goals in the last 4 games. And as Alex said, the Livingston goal should have stood as well. And I just thought that, the fact that he was being written off after a couple of games is ridiculous. Davey seems to give his all, and he's settled in well. And I know that it's an old cliche that he's playing for the jersey and he loves being at the club, but he does seem to get it, and he's quite a likeable big guy as well, isn't he, Davey?
I mean, I don't think there's anybody at Ibrox doesn't play for the jersey. Every fan that goes to the game plays for the jersey. It's just, we've been born, and I'm an old buddy, we've been brought up with that one, and we shouldn't lose that. And that's only the way it is, and that'll never change. But you can't, I think we've got to take a wee step back here and look where we were to what we are now. We're playing Champions League football again. Not that long ago, we were playing Race Rovers and all them. So we've come on tons, leaps and bounds. We'll criticise, we'll always criticise, and that's why we're Rangers supporters. And where we are now is a massive step from where we've been, and it's upwards and onwards.
Well said, Davy. Well, gentlemen, we've reached that time of the evening. That's flown by. So we'll just get a couple of wee shout-outs before we start wrapping up the show. Thanks for joining us. Davy, it was great to have your company tonight.
Yeah, I never had one Malteser.
And good to hear from you, Alex. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, no bother, Linda. Thanks for taking my call. Can I just wish my good friend there, Andy for Leeds, a nice holiday with his good lady. He's going out to Lanzarote, so he'll be the Totti for Lanzarote if he phones in.
I hope he's got his factor 50 with him.
I don't know about that. He'll have 2 bottles of vodka.
Have a nice holiday, Andy. Have a nice holiday. So
that comes for everyone.
So thanks to all the people who called in. Obviously, Davy and Alex, we've heard from them there. Andy for Crookston, we had Blue Star joined us as well. Thanks to Juicy for joining me tonight. Juicy, did you enjoy the show?
Oh, it's been fantastic, Linda. Very well hosted. 2 nights in a row for the Juice, so you won't be hearing from me again for a little while. I'm off away for a wee rest. But fantastic game to look forward to at the weekend. I'll be tuning in for all the build-up for Saturday's game. And you know something? I know Bridgeman loves a Bridgeman for a 1-0, but I absolutely want a pumpathon at the weekend. I want to pump Hibs silly on the Jazz.
You're very greedy. You're very greedy. You've got a good imagination.
And
oh boy,
the best of the last with Bridgeman.
Oh yeah, what can I say, Linda? I'll echo what Juicy was saying. Well hosted, and thanks for having us on. And Juicy, thanks for being my partner on here as well. Really good, and don't forget the technical team, absolutely brilliant. Can I just say to all the Rangers fans all over the world, and particularly Rangers fans on here on Rangers Radio, what a tremendous result for us last night. And don't forget it, we have got a huge game coming up at the weekend, Saturday, 12:30. Start it. Get the fever pitch. Get to the fever pitch, everybody. Think about it. Who's going to win? Got to be the Rangers. Keep it going for the Rangers. Everybody, keep it going.
Well said, Bridge. As I say, thanks to everybody that called in, to Bridge and Juicy for doing the show, to Old School Blue and Fox for doing the technicals. Rangers Radio will be back tomorrow night as we start to build up to the Hibs game at the weekend. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.